Yahoo! Okay, everybody's in the right place. Yay! Okay,
You did it.
I did it. I did it! Well, guys, we are here at the end of October. What the heck?
Whoa. Yeah, where did October go?
I mean, I saw it go by really fast. I went out the window as I looked by, going, "Oh my god." Yeah, but here we are. That's exciting. Happy Tuesday. That's good. I thought I had something in my head, and then I was like, "Oh wait, it is none of these things." Because Halloween's not till Thursday. I did dress as a warlock today, which was basically looking like a vampire, and I had the hood that went down to here, so all they saw was like moody mustache. I don't have a picture of it, but I can get.
Didn't happen.
I can get dressed in it again. But it was great because then I would just as I was making the coffee, I was pouring it in like this, like I was like some mad scientist.
Oh, that's exceptional.
Nobody talked to me, and it was glorious. All the customers approached everybody else except for me.
You're just going to do that every day from here on.
In fact, there was a busload of senior citizens that came in, and one of them left me a Jesus pamphlet close to the bar, and it was amazing because I saw this little pamphlet that I don't even know when it was dropped off. I was just setting a drink, and every time I put a drink down on the counter, I just like push it forward like that. And then I noticed there was a pamphlet that says the importance of the one. And I thought it was like a tool magazine because it was all plastic and shiny and metallic looking. And then I picked it up and I was like, oh.
The importance of the one ring.
I was going to say,
that's right.
Have you heard of our Lord Neo of the Keanu?
Our Lord and Savior Hot Sauron?
Yeah,
Rings
Hot
of power,
Sauron.
Anybody?
Yep. So it was
through your yard.
Yeah, exactly. So yesterday I was Quartermaster Barbosa because I hadn't become a captain yet, but I had the accent. So, I had 5 people call me Puss in Boots. It was very upsetting. I was like, no, I just have a hat that has a feather in it. And everyone's like, oh, Puss in Boots. And I was like, I don't have whiskers. They are debatable, but I don't have whiskers. I don't have a tail. Tomorrow I will be my blue wizard guy. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's, had a great time at SpaceCon. Got to see Next Generation crew at a table. Got to see Voyager crew at a table. Got to see Ewan McGregor and Josh Brolin from a distance. And apparently I was within 12 feet of the guy who played Ezra. Never paid attention. I never looked over here to the 501st booth, but apparently he was right there and took pictures with them, and I missed it. So, hooray, perception skills. Iskra followed me home that day, I guess.
I was going to say that's Iskra level of perception. The character, not the person.
Yes, obviously.
but also, yes.
Sometimes also the person.
But it was a good time. No accidents, so that was good. Next week.
But first this week.
First this week. I was trying to think, but I actually don't have anything crazy coming up. We do have a potential. I think at the moment our next Star Wars date is November 15th, so we'll have that coming up next month. That's kind of exciting, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
We got
Vampire tomorrow. Provided everything goes okay.
Provided the weather doesn't knock out all the power forever.
And I'm no longer dying.
Stop dying, coward.
I'm trying.
Next Wednesday, we may or may not be off. It may be a mental health day for the channel. So either way, we look forward to you spending your time with us, and we hope you do.
Yeah.
And ahead of that, though, I believe Iskra has one important announcement to get to.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to prompt me, I absolutely will.
Poke and prompt.
We are mere days away from the U.S. presidential election, as well as lots of down ballot races going on in your area. So please, if you have not yet voted, go cast your ballot. The election is razor thin and there is a heck of a lot riding on it this time around. We don't really do politics super heavy in our Discord, but it is very important to me and important to us and our lives generally as a people and as a planet. So if you do want to talk about it, you're on the fence about voting, you don't see the point, I'd be happy to DM with you. And maybe you could let me change your mind. Or if not, at least we'll have a good conversation. In any case, get out there, do your part, vote. November 5th is it, but early voting is in progress, so go do the thing.
Go do the thing. Alrighty.
And November 10th, I am back on Top Down Tabletop for part 2 of our Kids on Bikes game. Check the Discord for details. Also, you can catch part 1 over on their YouTubes.
Alrighty. Dope. I think we are set to go. I don't think we got anything else. So with that, we will go ahead and get started on tonight's episode of Age of Myth, because I remembered it correctly this time. Yeah. Oops, I forgot to pull up my papyrus. There it is. Okay. 20th of Thargelion. Hemera Aphrodites. Argos. A city of craftsmen and pride. Though I have not spent much time within this city, it truly has been a marvel to see, and perhaps I shall return again one day, provided Argos survives the turbulence of the coming age. The brilliant Laertes is introduced to a craftsman from the tutelage of Hephaestus, a giant King Goliath by the name of Athos. A power Orphic himself, he studies the crystals and kiln and provides insights that Laertes desperately needed to advance the work on his own sagecraft. Working through the night, the two managed to create a marvel, the first working Cleosite to be created within the bounds of this universe. Meanwhile, Cyprus has a moment with a high priestess of Aphrodite, and while most would imagining the roiling passions that such a moment would entail, his recounting of it is agonizingly disappointing, at least on a carnal level. What he did learn, though, was that Aphrodite selecting him as a champion does not seem to fall in line with her usual champions, raising the question, What was her reason for selecting the young Theban? While Themisto crafts and decorates some gear she had acquired for herself and the Spartan youngsters, she is visited by a woman nursing and caring for a fussy baby who watches her work while making general conversation. It's only when the others return from their walking about Argos that the woman disappears. The second time such an apparition happens to the Orphix within the last few days. By the next day, the party leaves to continue their journey, passing into the town of Namea, which, upon arrival, we find has been burned and brought to ruin. With bodies littering the ground and smoldering ruins still smoking, the Orphix hear a girl buried beneath rubble and stuck within a well. Using their godlike powers, the Orphix rescue the poor girl, who, in her terror, tells them of the attacks by the chimeras, one of which lays dead nearby. Okay. Ugh. Wow. You guys are ridiculous. I love you.
I mean, it's your fault for reading the chat.
I know, but what was I supposed to do? I still go back over here and it's right there in front of my face. Beautiful. Yeah, indeed. Truly amazing. Give me 3.5 seconds. Let me switch this over.
2, 3.
Where is everybody? The girl starts to look around. The smoking ruins of the city of Namea lay about you. You had not walked too far within the city before you had heard the cries for help, and using your abilities had found a way to rescue her from her almost certain demise, buried beneath the rubble and drowned in a well. But the body of the chimera, now cast aside by Larity's levitation, and you using said levitation to help her out of said well, she now stands huddled before you, dripping wet, cold fingers and hands and skin pruning already from having been in the water for so long. She looks about as I think by this point you're like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. It wasn't too early in the day, but it wasn't that late either because you didn't get a super late start and you hadn't been able to travel that far to get here.
I'll wrap my wrap around her. You said it was Callisto?
Yes.
My name is Phoebe.
Thank you for assisting me, although I don't know how I got out of there.
The gods blessed us to be able to help you.
She starts to cry. What? They did not bless us to survive.
There is great darkness spreading across the land.
What did
We've been working to try to stop it, and I'm sorry we did not get here fast enough.
What did we do to deserve this?
It is not your fault. There is nothing you did or didn't do.
What is your home, Callisto?
She looks about, trying to gather her bearings, and then lets out a choked sob as you see a partially ruined homestead that the roof is collapsed and there's smoke that is still pouring from the ruins of it. She kind of raises a weak finger and like points in that direction. It was there.
I'm gonna see if there's anything that can be saved, but I don't think you can stay here.
Where am I supposed to go?
With us. We're going to Corinthos.
Corinthos. What if there are other survivors? Surely I can't be the only one.
We will check.
Okay.
So
You s-
then,
Go ahead.
could we spend, I guess, yeah, if we can just spend like 30 minutes to an hour to kind of search the city, or I guess the town for anyone who might be alive.
Sure.
And I'll stay with her and help her search the rubble of her home.
One thing is clear within this amount of time. The devastation was pretty complete. What bodies remain intact? Of those, there are very few. It was clear that there was more than one creature involved with this thing. This could not have been done by the one chimera. As I said, the town wasn't like crazy big, but it wasn't that small either. Yet there doesn't seem to be any sort of indication that it was like over time had been wrecked from one side to the other. This was like a all at once. All sides of the city had been ravaged and attacked. You see scorch marks on walls where gouts of flame had been breathed upon, down to the point where some of the stone and even some of the metal looks like it had heated and melted a little bit from its intensity. And perhaps that was the acid, as bubbling rock and wood and stone is pockmarked with the signs of having been melted down by some sort of acid. Laertes, what were you going to say?
While they're doing the search, because Laertes is a little ragged at this point, so he's going to stay near the beast, which is also near the well, if I understand correctly, which is more or less the center of town. Right?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
He's examining the chimera because he's very curious why this one's dead, and he's trying to put the pieces together in his head why it is where it is. There are obvious signs of people who would have done like, were there human bodies around it that just sort of felled it there, or no sign of any people?
Make an investigation check.
Okay. This is going to be with disadvantage. 14.
Okay. Looking about the area of the well, firstly, looking at the body itself, it does seem to be suffering from some rather large gashes, either by sword or something sharp had torn into parts of these parts of this creature. You also see several stab wounds, indications of like a spear or a javelin sort of thrust. There are also just a couple of broken pieces of wood lodged in it, like arrows. This thing had been wrecked on for a little bit, but it looks like it had finally just expired here. There were no immediate bodies around the vicinity, leading you to believe that when this creature was felled, it maybe had just been felled over exhaustion, and less so than this is where they had killed it.
Do I get the sense looking down the well at this point,
Mhm.
that the plan was, because this was an early example in the story of ink in the water,
Mhm.
was it trying to taint the local water table with itself to perpetuate itself, the virus, the sickness, whatever you want to call it.
You can see that some of its blood had run down the side of the well. It doesn't look like it had taint. I mean, obviously, by our standards, contaminated, but it wasn't like it had turned the waters black or red with its blood. Also, now having moved it and the debris it had fallen upon, it's kind of hard to tell whether it had fallen here accidentally or it had just like fell on the biggest flattest surface. It was just like it had been climbing up and then just collapsed on it. So it's hard to determine intent at this point.
Okay. He's just going to find a place to sit and desperately catch his breath.
Okay. Astrid, what were you gonna say?
After checking out the city or the town, want to go back to the creature and see if a chimera would have the means to deal acid. If it has like, I'm thinking like her knowing the anatomy of monsters. If they would if it has like a sack, like an acid sack kind of thing.
Make a nature or animal. No, animal handling's kind of it's dead. So make a nature check, I guess.
Okay.
I'll give it, and I guess if you don't have it, like, if you can't, well, the only reason,
no,
the only reason I say, survival. Well, that's for the tracking part. I mean, I guess I could see either one, honestly.
Or even medicine. It's up to you.
Yeah, probably just one of those other two.
Okay.
Just to have it relate to what you've done before, and you can go ahead and roll with advantage because it is something that you quote unquote have studied.
That is a nat 20 on the first roll.
Oh, nice.
19 on the second. So 28 and 27.
For both nature and is that what you're
in and out? Are you guys?
You're a little choppy,
You're a little
but not
jumpy.
a lot. But not a lot. I
It's
can hear
doing it
you.
for me. Okay.
For which skill did you roll this for?
Yeah, it was a nat 20 for survival.
Survival. All right, cool.
Survival?
Yeah. I will say that you have faced chimeras before. But one of the curiosities of chimeras is that they are usually very unique. The creatures they're not always the same. It's not like you've seen one chimera, you've seen it all. You know that their stingers generally have a little bit of like the poison within it can be a little acidic. You have seen them spit acid before, but usually it is more of one of the reptilian heads that will do that. This one, if I remember correctly, had it was goat, lion, and like an eagle, as I recall.
Yeah. Was it goat head, lion body, eagle wings?
No, it had
Or
3
was it
heads.
Eagle? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it had the 3 heads. Lion-like body. Is still. This one didn't have wings.
Okay.
But it did have a serpent on its tail. Phoebe, what were you gonna say?
Do I need to roll anything for looking around her house?
Sure. Roll me an investigation, if you will.
Okay. 15.
15. Looking about her house, she finds a couple of personal belongings. She talks about her mother and father Thalia and Crithon, neither one of which, but who you gratefully don't find either of their bodies. Though it's kind of rough to tell if that is a good thing or yeah.
Callisto, have you ever been to Corinth?
No, I have not.
It's when I grew up.
Just like, you can tell she's listening to you, but she's just like looking around, and it's just like
she's in shock.
Yeah, I'm figuring you're trying to kind of distract her a little bit or something. Yeah, she's very much.
We grew up so close together.
Yes. I don't. I'm sorry.
There's nothing to apologize for.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm going to take you to where I grew up. The Temple of Apollo. They're good at taking care of people who need to be taken care of.
Okay.
Have you eaten anything?
Not since before the attack, I suppose.
Here. Are you a fan of figs? That seems to be most of what I have.
That's curious.
It's the favorite of someone very special to me.
Can we go outside?
Yes, of course. You should probably drink some water too. You have to take care of yourself.
I would be happy if I never
take care of you.
I would be happy if I never got to see water again.
I understand, but it is something your body needs, so you must drink.
I understand.
Just a few sips. They'll pass over like my water skin.
She nods, and the two leave the house. As you guys have been going around the city, or at least the general vicinity, it would take a little bit more than an hour if you were going to go through the whole town. But just around the immediate environs, you probably find like 4 or 5 whole bodies. Probably the remains of about a dozen more.
Does it seem like most of the people here were killed, or does it seem like some of them were able to get away? Like, were there things left unattended, or like left unattended? That
Oh
were,
yeah,
like,
I mean, there's this. Whatever happened, this happened extremely fast. Yes,
Yeah.
and it came and went. So there's definitely the area is like chaotic. There's like belongings that look like they had been carried out of houses and then were scattered upon the ground whenever they had been struck down or chomped on or what have you. It's possible. There's also just a lot more buildings than there are people around. So
Liberties, there was acid damaging the stone and the wood and the metals of this town. Like, a creature was able to expel it or breathe it out. Maybe something like one of Phobos' brothers and sisters.
Maybe. Although the acid does get him thinking. Aaron, do some of these people look like they've been partially assimilated? Is the kindest way that I can put it? Because you described at that microscopic level what Beldura does, where it's this unraveling, repurposing, that it's like an acid at first. I know I know, like, just melting metal and then organically repurposing a creature are 2 separate processes, but it just has him thinking about it.
Yeah, is it like pieces of people or burned acid?
The pieces of people that you find have been torn apart.
Okay, so that's different.
You don't see anything that's been acidically melted from somebody. It seems more like flesh and claw. There's definitely some that have been burned. The bodies that are whole, you see, do have stab wounds on them, of what looks like maybe a large stinger type thing. The wound around it is green and purple, like it's bruised or poisoned, and it just kind of goes through their veins, but it doesn't have that black tar stuff that you would expect it to have.
Now, this is modern person speaking, but a lot of toxins out of certain kinds of stingers act like an acid. The way that they burn through a person. Does that seem consistent with what's going on here?
No, not particularly.
Okay.
This doesn't look like it was those stinger wounds on these bodies don't look like anything like that. It doesn't look like it ate any of the flesh away.
Just more just toxic.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
I think this is a situation where there were creatures who follow at the footsteps of something like Phobos. Like what we encountered with the harpies.
Similar, where has a lesser hold, but still a hold.
On these things. One of them died, but I think the others either fled or when they were finished flew away to their next place of destruction.
Do you say this amongst everybody else, or is it just you and?
I'll say in the center where we're at, like where the the well is at. Yeah. What do you think, Tamisto? If you're here.
And I'm probably trying to keep Callisto away from whatever Orphic conversations may be happening.
Themisto would have gone with Davos and Xanthus and then had them, all the three of them, all split up to try to cover as much ground of the town as they could. Themisto definitely relying on her snakes and their ability as sensors to try to look for any survivors.
Yeah. I'll just say that this, whatever conversation that the Astrid was just having with Laertes would have been after that, like hour and a half or so, having looked around. So if everyone is gathered together, great. If it's just them two, that's fine. I was just curious.
I'll say Cypress is back with them for sure, after having scouted himself.
Yeah.
Actually, because this would help some set dressing a little bit, is Amadeo and crew scavenging, looting?
Yes. A little bit of both. Not so much Amadeo, perhaps. Maybe a little, like, random knickknacks here and there that you see Mikos or Mog, like, will pick through, but it's not like they're looking for stuff to loot, per se. Just kind of like occasionally picking up something.
If they see something.
Yeah, just if it's like in the middle of the street, they see a little something, they'll look it over, see if it's worth anything. If not, they'll just toss it back into the rubble kind of situation. If it looks like it might be worth something, they'll maybe pocket it, but it's nothing that looks like, I found this bag of gold and I'm going to pocket it.
But
they would
more
probably do
importantly,
that.
they're not looking for people; they're looking for profit.
You'll see, like I said, it's a little bit of both. They're still looking for people. They're still trying to help out, but they're also like opportunists, basically.
Maybe they have been taken over by the Eater of Hope, scavenging for these parts like this.
While you guys were, go ahead. The mist.
Astrid had asked my opinion on the motive, essentially, behind the attack. It is still a curious thing. The harpies we know were influenced. This chimera, it seems the same, yes, but we don't know yet to what extent. We have met none of them face to face. Davos and Zentis, I suppose, but is there some purpose, or have they just been driven mad? This I do not know. If in the plague that we face, and she kind of gets hushed as she says that, if it is all connected to itself, like the cultists were, perhaps these bits that touch the harpies, the chimera, maybe they're looking for something, some connection they can find. Maybe, as I felt in the vision that the Herald forced me to have, that pain that is inside all of them, maybe it lashes out for that reason. I cannot say.
You see Callisto. Like, unless you're physically telling her not to be close to everybody, she kind of, you can tell that by comfort,
You'd rather,
even though
like, be around people.
she's rather, yeah, she's staking close by. She may not like literally be paying attention at all, but she
In that
is.
case, I'll let her.
She is very much just kind of like clutches the shawl around herself that that you had wrapped her with, and she kind of just holds it close, even though the sun is still out. We'll say it's like 4 or 5 in the afternoon by this point.
And how long is it from here to Corinthos?
If you left now, you could get there just after dark, probably. Because if I remember the map, Corinthos and Namea are not far from each other. But they're. Let me look at this again. Okay. Well, yeah, they're about the same. I thought they were a little closer, but I see that the names are just close together. Less so the dots. They're probably about the same distance between Argos, Nemea, and Corinth. Corinth might be a little bit closer than Argos is from here, but so it would still put you to arrive there after dark.
I don't think we want to stay the night here. That is all right with each of you. I think it might be best to continue our conversation as we head north.
That's
I
good.
agree.
Yes, we should hasten.
I was the only one.
There may have been others who got away when the fight happened. We cannot be certain. We did not see any on the road back towards uy,
Argos.
Argos, yeah. But perhaps they went out to Corinth instead,
I was
or Namea.
I don't know. Everything happened so fast. And all I could do once I was trapped was hear screaming and the roars of the creatures. I will never forget.
At least though. What this means is that fate says that your story is not over yet. Keep that in mind.
I swear if I ever see that man again.
What man?
I don't know. There was. I was here in the square. No. There was a man that. He came into the village. And I just remember seeing a strangeness to his eyes. It was as if he was not there. Like he looked lost. I just remember him being strange. Curious.
Was he wearing black and red by chance?
Yes.
It was the last time you saw him before before what happened.
He simply stood in the middle of the. He stood right over there. She points to like this empty space. Not quite pavilion, not quite plaza, just an empty space between buildings. He stood there for some time. And everybody walked past and around him and they looked at him curiously, but he said nothing and no one said anything to him. It was as if he simply forgot where he was.
He set us to the darkness.
And then that's when people started screaming. That's when the creatures came down from the heavens. Flying beasts that morphed and they changed. It changed from one thing to another. I don't
And
think
we're walking during this conversation, right, Aaron?
Yes, I guess.
I think that was the goal, to like walk and talk.
Walk and talk, walk and talk, walk and talk.
When they changed, Callisto, did they morph into darkness before each change?
I just know that at one moment they were like lions. Large, fearsome lions. Then another moment they were like goats. Demon creatures with horns or claws. Then another moment they were like serpents. Then scorpions. Sometimes they would be multiple animals at once. She shivers, like wraps herself even closer. She looks like she's just shaking now. Even with now dried and walking, and it's not really cold as the sun is still out. She just shakes like she's cold.
I'll keep an arm around her as we walk.
That is enough questions for now, I think. Thank you, Callisto.
She walks close to Phoebe and just like huddles against your arm. Themisto, in the time that you guys are walking, even as Callisto has spoken, and when she has not, you see that both Davos and Xanthus keep a very weathered eye on her. Every so often looking in her direction. Amadeo has been uncharacteristically quiet. He seems lost in thought, having seen what he had just seen through the town of Namea. In fact, most of the pirate crew seems to have their moods have shifted. They are no longer flippant as much.
May I do an insight on Callisto momentarily?
Sure.
Just to looking for signs of builderification.
Sure.
It's not very high. That was only a 10, because I rolled super duper low.
A 10.
Should I also be rolling for that? Because I feel like I've been watching her off and on, and I know what I'm looking for in comparison.
Sure.
I only did it because of Davos and Xanthus.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
Well, my worry when pulling her up out of the well the way I did was because that she could have been drip droppy from the chimera above her. So I've been just staring at her the whole time as if Laertes has heard of the movie Prometheus. Oh, it's gonna be with disadvantage anyway, so that'll be funny. 16.
Okay. Themisto. I'd say you've seen a fair amount of people who have gone through traumatic experiences before.
Especially now. And they come to see the video.
Mm-hmm. She definitely looks like the kind of person that is currently reliving over and over again the sounds and experiences of the last 12 hours for her. Occasionally shaking herself out of it when, as you walk, birds flutter up from the ground. They just kind of like, you see her kind of start or whatever, but the more she walks away, the further Namea is behind you, the more that you see she kind of begins to relax a little bit, though she still keeps her hands wrapped around her in that, like, trying to keep herself close sort of thing. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
As a response to watching this, and noting Davos and Xanthus, I will say quietly to them, turn your eyes outward, my guardiani. She is not a danger to us.
Davos hears you, nods, and seems to, like, accept it. Xanthus, not so much. He nods at you in understanding and obedience, but there's a moment whenever he looks at her and then looks back at you. And in the most quote-unquote casual way that a soldier can, tries to, like, tell you without being, it's like the people who like, don't look over there, but, you know, it's like he tries to be casual about this and is using hushed tones, right? Like, but also just like he's not very good at the subtlety of things. But he looks over at you, he's like, I understand, but I am just being watchful. Yeah, you're good. Laertes, you
Sorry, I just missed that because my headphones are attached to both my phone and this.
Oh,
and
I
the
see.
phone ringing totally overwrote what Xanthus' reaction was. So if you could do that again, I'm very sorry.
No, you're fine. That is completely okay. Xanthus turns to you, like, in that sideways and is just like, I understand. I am just being cautious. I do not wish to be caught unaware if something were to change.
Yes. I know where your caution comes from, Xanthus. And she has been through enough already, and we can handle ourselves. We don't need her feeling like she is not welcome among us.
He looks at you in a way to say, is she? But doesn't say it out loud.
Oh, I mean, I'm infinitely familiar with having people who I should be in charge of thinking they know better. Sometimes they do. Granted.
It was more of the is she welcome?
But I had to make a judgment call and
No,
made
for
it,
sure.
and
No.
I will accept what happens if I'm wrong.
We'll say he lessens the amount that he seems on guard. He still kind of just occasionally throws a casual, non-casual look over his shoulder at her, but doesn't say much of anything. Laertes, even so with what you had rolled, it's that same thing of like you can tell that someone that's been through trauma, but there's a little bit more of the when someone's about to be sick kind of thing. Like when someone looks like they're nauseous kind of situation, she gives you that vibe of she just like it's all starting to process now that she's the further she's walking
the shock, and now basically on a long ass march.
Yeah, it's a little bit
it's
it's the reality of it all. That is starting to settle in on her, and it's having an effect.
And I'll try to feed her something mild. I'll ask around so it's not just a fig that I have to offer. Something nice and carby to like a good calm layer in her stomach.
She probably has
Some
not eaten.
lembus.
I was thinking of some oh my gosh, what is that? Whataburger?
Keto?
Well, that too. I was thinking non-canonical.
I was thinking.
I don't know if Whataburger is like a good
no.
base for
The
anyone's
honey butter chicken biscuit cures everything.
Well, here's the thing: it'll either stop you up or it'll make you remove the problem. Either way, result.
I was thinking maybe honey butter chicken biscuit minus the chicken, just that honey butter in
We
the
are
biscuit.
not sponsored, by the way.
That sounds good.
But if you want to.
Sounds
we
so
would have
good.
that. We would have
Like biscuit
and honey.
Yeah,
That'll be good.
exactly. Same thing. Okay.
We do accept business inquiries at.
This episode is sponsored by Whataburger. Just like you'd like.
Come here, you cowards. Build a franchise.
Beautiful. Okay.
Honey butter pita bread.
Honey butter pita bread. Beautiful. You guys continue to walk along the path. Oh my gosh, yes. You guys continue to walk along the path. Heading now in a more easterly direction. Passing through a valley. Do you want to press on through the night to get to it's not going to be super late into the night, but you're going to be walking through the dark, at least if you're trying to get to Corinth to stay or find a place.
If it's okay with the group, I think especially with having Callisto here, or shell-shocked Callisto, getting her into the city would be better, and I can cast light. Just re-up it every time to give us some guidance.
Okay.
It can also, from the back, guess like.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, plus
Light in the front,
you
light in the
actually
back.
you guys do have torches, so that is a thing that you can
Light
use.
torch when magic.
Because at the
That's our
moment we're trying to keep a
somatics
low
and-
profile.
That's a good point.
I will
Save
say
the magic.
I will say for the most part, like, I mean, Davos Enthus, the Mystios, the Mystios, the Pymistios, they all do carry, like, they'll carry torches as you guys go through the evening, as the sun begins to set in the horizon and the stars begin to rise in the skies above. It is a beautiful sight, though still somewhat unnerving, considering how many days in the last week you have been afraid of the dark, so to speak. It doesn't seem as oppressive now that you're able to see the stars and the moon above. The spread of the Milky Way galaxy as it covers from horizon to horizon. Yet still...
Is Astra with us?
He's always with us. Now,
Yet still the shadows bring with them their own sort of uncomfortableness. Let's see here. Where am I? Where am I? Okay. Well, I mean, you don't know how far out from Corinthos you are, but you know that you are at least approaching, and I would assume that for Phoebe, you would know the surrounding area enough to begin to recognize the approach to Corinthos. The few farms that sit on the outskirts, the orchards, the couple of guardian stone sort of situations where it's just like the little rocks that say Corinthos this way, Argos this way, you know, that sort of thing that has like the little statues.
Namea just crossed out, or
I mean, you
no.
can if you want as you walk by.
population 0.
No!
Yikes.
free real estate.
Oh no. Awful. Okay.
It's a coping mechanism, Aaron. Leave it.
You're passing through one of the vineyards, and Callisto stops. Oh, my stomach hurts.
Do you need
You
to be
hungry?
sick?
How far are we from Corinthos?
Not much longer.
You guys continue walking. This is just like her.
Gotcha. You'll have a long bed that's staying tonight.
What did you said you knew people at the temple there?
I grew up in the temple there.
What was that like?
When I got into trouble a lot. Mostly for not listening to what the priest told us to do. But it wasn't bad. They take care of orphans.
I guess I'm an orphan now.
Don't know that for sure. When you visited your home, were you able to pick up anything of sentiment to you of your family?
My father was a potter. Most of the things he treasured were broken. I just have a few pieces left. She, reaches into a little satchel that she'd been carrying and has these little pieces of pottery that have really intricate and beautiful, paintings and Why is the only drawings, the only word I could think of was Spanish word? And I was like, there's another word, dibujos. And I was like, paintings, drawings, caricatures, that sort of thing that are on it. Oh, I feel like I'm going to be sick. She goes over to the side, and you hear her retch into the grass.
May I? And she'll reach. Oh well, she's retching right now.
Yeah. You gonna hold her hair
I'll
back?
hold her hair. I will. I'll hold her hair back.
I'm gonna do detect poison and disease.
Detect the poisons. Detect disease.
Wonder if at any point during the proceedings, either at the village or now, if Cypress would be doing his divine sense. She's looking too much like an old lady to him right now.
Probably.
That's up to you guys.
Probably.
Does anybody have his his sheet up?
I used to. Mm, hmm.
I don't remember if he has used any of these abilities or not. I don't think so.
No, because we left pretty early from
Yeah.
Ardos.
Hold on. I'll pull it up. And I think because I have the campaign, I think I can click the buttons and it sticks. Clicky click, click, clicky click. But yeah, is that something you want him to do? Is the divine sense?
Yes.
Cypress with the whole situation kind of narrows his eyes, and then when he opens his eyes wide again, they have that golden gleam to them for a moment as he looks through his divine sense, but senses no celestial fiend or undead. Still, it doesn't stop the gasp of air that comes from her as she like stops and then leans back and expels a cloud of fly-like bugs that come out of her mouth and swarm into the air. Her skin becomes gaunt.
No.
Her flesh kind of dries and withers a little bit as this infestational swarm flies up into the air around you guys.
Hate that.
All right, kill this swarm. We're gonna heal her
Save.
back up.
Yeah. Got this.
Pip, I hope that's
Aaron?
not
Oh
normal.
Lord.
Aaron,
Yes.
can I do a thing as it starts to emanate from her?
Let's see. Roll initiative.
Oh, goody.
All of us?
Sure. Those
So-
I'll say you four that are currently the closest, because everyone else is gonna be like, what?
I am holding her hair.
Yeah. you are.
17. Nice.
18.
Also 17.
17 as well.
But I did it with disadvantage, so you go ahead of me.
Let me see. Where is this thing? Shoot. I don't think I'm gonna get any bonuses from this, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, no. That's only that's a 10. Did anybody roll below a 10, or is everybody above a 10?
Above.
All right.
13 for me.
Nice. Okay. Shoot. 13 Themisto. What was you said? What was yours? Laertes?
17,
17.
same as Astra, but since I did mine with disadvantage, I'll go after.
And then Phoebe.
An 18.
Oh, beautiful. Then what are you doing, Phoebe?
So there's this evil fly swarm.
Yeah, it's just like these bugs
Okay. I would like to touch my bracelet, which has kind of become my focus. I'll say light protect us. And I want to, for the first time, cast Word of Radiance.
Yeah.
Nice.
So each creature of my choice in a 5-foot radius, so just the insect swarm, must make a Constitution saving throw.
Con saving throw. 8.
That's a failure. So it's going to take 6 points of radiant damage.
6 points of radiant damage, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Zach.
And so Phoebe's light that she's kind of been absorbing throughout the day during the walk kind of just burst outward in this 5-foot sphere around her. But she and Callisto are fine, and you can see it specifically target the insects.
Okay.
It kind of swirls around them like it's trying to protect them from this.
Okay. The swirling light kind of lights up in almost like a little sonar burst of light. It just goes and you can see this bug cloud that is now swarming above your heads like angry wasps. Now is you can see
Good
the
old bug zapper.
a couple of them fall to the ground as they pitter out like falling embers of fireworks, like and they hit the ground and kind of and just disappear. All right, Astrid, what are you doing?
Callisto, do you feel better after that?
Make a perception check.
Okay.
Better out than in.
Yeah. 19.
19. You talk to her, you see that she is like on her knees, just like head back like this. Her eyes have sunken in, and it's just her mouth gapes open like something from the Mummy. It's just like she's not moving. It's just like they came out of her. Hasn't said anything. It's just there. I didn't hear what you said.
She just says, "Let's take care of this." She's gonna do a guiding bolt on the wasp swarm.
Yeah. Fire up into this swarm above your heads.
This could be a 23 to hit.
23 hits.
18 points of radiant damage.
Oh, nice.
And she's going to, as a bonus action, activate the Starry Form Archer, doing an attack with that. 24 to hit.
24 also hits.
And then activating with 8 points of radiant damage for that second burst of
Guiding bolt.
yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, just in case. Not any better.
Okay. So you fired 2 bolts, yes? Right? Both bolts go flying through this cloud. You can see large swaths of them are carved out of existence from the cloud as it just begins to roil and move around again. But nice. All right, cool. You guys have already diminished this swarm by a little bit, yeah. Laertes.
Does the swarm count as a single creature for intents and purposes here?
No. It is. I mean,
Okay.
it's a swarm, so it's like it's a mass, but like it is not a single thing to.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking you is because I'm asking if you're going to be rolling 1,000 saves or just one. I'm trying to. I care about you. I'm trying to do you a favor here.
Right, I know, but I don't think
Either
this
way.
can be targeted by something that targets a singular thing.
That's okay. It doesn't have to,
Okay.
because this is AoE. 10-foot radius sphere targeted on a point of my choosing, and since these things are above us, that's a lot easier. As I try to condense reality in on itself, it pinches in, twists, rends, as it tries to shear them apart and against each other like a blender made out of reality itself. Con save, please.
Con save. Oof, that is a unnatural.
And
20.
I'm casting this at 3rd level, and you're going to reroll.
Okay. Uh, 12.
Where is my... There it is, Chrono Shift. So, fantabulous. They're going to take 4d8. Not great. So 13 force damage, and their speed is cut in half. They're going to take an additional 1d8, which is another 1 big deal, but they're going to have to make another con save.
That is 21.
Nope. Oh well. Did what I could do.
Nice. Another mass of them becomes tinier. You can see them all it looks like a giant net has caused them to come in together. You hear the crunching squish sound, and then they kind of poof, burst outwards again as a couple more bodies rain to the ground around you guys. It's like they're easily the size of like locust grasshoppers that have now hit the ground, and you see them as they fall around you and on you, and that these are not insects that you have seen before. These are strange little buggers. They look like somewhere, but they almost look like chimeric versions of insects, if that. So it's like somewhere between if a grasshopper had more limbs than usual. Themisto, it is your turn.
All right. I don't know if Themisto necessarily has a good way to attack these. So we will just go with the standard. And Themisto is going to raise her sword, kind of spin it in her hand, and as she spins it, it's catching the light off of the torches and Phoebe, and it like takes that shimmer, and you can see the little like additional rays of light bouncing off and hitting her allies around her as she casts Bless on the 3 nearest folks to her. So that's going to be our players who currently have, or characters who currently have players at the table.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Is Cypress in this, or
No, for the intents purposes, just the ease of complication.
So I only cast a first level Bless at this point, so it'll just be 3 people, not even including Themisto.
Okay.
So, as a reminder, that's an additional d4 to your attack rolls and your saves.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. The bugs fly around you guys and now begin to look like they're going to find themselves a target, and they dive down. This one is going to, we're gonna say it's gonna go to Laertes because he zapped them the most. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Throws at this level, they're not done with disadvantage, right? It's just okay. 14.
Add your D4.
And a D4.
I blessed thee.
You very blessed because that's a total of 18 now.
Dang, I was so excited for
Aaron.
0.5 seconds. What happened?
Oh no.
You went blank for me for a sec. Oh, maybe it's my internet that blanked out for a sec.
Oh, I don't know. Looks like I'm okay over here so far. Well, in any case, you turned a failure into a success. So, to you. So good job.
Team effort, Themisto. Team effort.
This stop you, Laertes, but I don't want to break your knuckles.
I'm trying to see if anything happens. Okay. You see these things begin to try and pierce into Laertes' flesh as they dive bomb him. The stinging pain that racks across your body as they try and climb into ear and nose and mouth to try and completely overwhelm and surround you. But there's a burst of radiant light that kind of just goes poof out again and scatters them in all directions, as they are not allowed to infest your body as they would have done so had you not had bless on you. So close. Good job, Themisto. You just saved them. So instead they just come back out and around, but they are they are now in Laertes' space, so they're still there. They're just not inside of him like I was trying to get them to be. So you'll have to SWAT carefully as it is now Phoebe's turn again.
I would like to Word of Radiance again, and if I need to step closer to Laertes to keep them in that 5-foot bubble, I can do that.
Grab by the shoulders, just shake and bake, just get out. What's it called? Demon release you. I was trying to think of like exorcism, kind of just like but with bugs. It's
so if they could make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh, the power of Christ compels you is what I was trying to say, but was not coming out. That is an 8 because I rolled the same number twice.
Okay, there's a take. 8 points of radiant damage. As once again, that radiant light pulses out.
It's like these little like blasts of radiant light. The light flash. What's it called? Not flashbang, but just like make that brief flash of light in this orchard that just kind of lights the trees up from underneath with golden light. Nice.
And you know what? I'm going to bonus action unarmed strike them with a SWAT.
Roll to attack.
That is going to be 24.
24 hits.
That is 13 points of bludgeoning damage.
13 points of bludgeoning damage. Dang.
You meant.
Yeah, for real. You there's this swarm as it flies around Laertes, and you just as your hand goes through, there is almost a, let's say, just use this as part
Like the light
flavor.
kind of like-
Yeah, the light kind of goes around your fist, and like one of those electronic like bug zappers, as your hand just goes flying across. There's just a multitude of as you take out a small tendril of a cloud of these creatures. They I mean, it's solid, pretty solid impact. It's like hitting a bunch of large bugs. You feel it as you go across. It's not like it hurts, but you feel these things are solid as much as they move and twist and warp themselves as they're flying. There's only a few of them left. All right. Astrid, you're the last one. Or
Okay.
you're the next one. Sorry, not the last one. Next one.
Okay. The last one. She is going to do an attack with the Starry Wisp. It's not Guiding Bolt, but it's basically like Starry Firebolt
Yeah.
for the Circle of Girlies.
Yeah.
So that is 6 points of radiant damage. As she conjures in her hands a couple wisps of star and comet and like a little universe that begins to form in her hands before casting it out to the creatures, burning its way through.
All right. So, what did you roll to attack? Sorry, my brain fuzzed out.
Hold on. Sorry. $24.
Okay, that hits. You guys are rolling really good.
Yeah, I'm like, this session, I'm rolling really good. Okay. I think that's all she can do, because her starry form other thing is
What
it's
was
every
the
other-
what was the damage?
6, sorry. Yeah.
6. Still enough. You see a couple more of these things that are like making ready to dive bomb Laertes again, and you just like you feel. Well, I'll say it's one of those like cinematic moments where you feel and channel lessons from Artemis, and that bolt of light, that starry form of the archer, kind of like takes over with light emanating from your
Ooh.
the entire
My
extremes of your body, and it just kind of like comes to your limbs and you pull back. You've watched Immortal, right?
No, wait, the Immortals?
No,
Or no, just
Immortal, Henry
Immortal
Cavill.
with Henry Cavill.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay, we need to watch that at some
We're gonna
point.
fix
But
that.
yeah, I was like, that's a fun movie. In any
That's
case,
a
he
Christmas
has
movie for us now.
that is a he's got a bow that basically pulls it back and like it lights up and just kind of like, except that the bow is also made of light in this case, and it just goes woof, this arrow of light flies out, and you basically tear through the remaining bits of the infestation.
Okay.
As now they are
I guess then.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so if that finishes them, then I'll use my bonus action to go over to Callisto and see if she's living.
You see that she has not moved from where she had been as the last little bugs. And now you see that these things that are on the ground, this multitude, this swarm of insects has now begun to fizzle and smoke away.
Callisto, tell me if you're still in there. She's gonna use a healing spell to try and like bolster her.
The somewhat
healing-
The somewhat desiccated body of Callisto begins to gain a little more flesh and life to it, as it had had all of its essence zapped out, but she does not move.
Oh, 21 points of healing from Cure Wounds. As she tries to, um, place some of the life force from her abilities and just surge it through Callisto's body.
Callisto falls over, limp, no longer dried and husk-like, but she falls over.
I do a medicine check to check her pulse.
Sure. What were you gonna say, Themisto? I saw you had raised a finger earlier.
That's fine.
Okay.
Maybe she's not moving. It's a 19 on medicine.
You check her in every way that you know how. Thum, 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 thum. There is a pulse, but it is beyond faint. Provided this combat only took less than 12 seconds from beginning to end. She had not passed yet, but she was close. She is, as with most people, only mortal.
Themisto, can you help her?
I can try.
Themisto, make a medicine check for me.
I will do this thing. I rolled very high. It was a 19 on the dice for a total of 25.
25. You take to one knee besides Astrid, who is currently cradling the form of Callisto. You listen for the heart. You sense the breath, just barely. She is alive. But there's not much more that can be done at this moment, you feel.
As we worked to save that boy from an infection, and we had to burn it out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I thought about the lesson that I'd received from Laertes with mending the stones in the temple that was overtaken, and how to apply it to flesh. And, was trying to sense that presence. From this check, can I tell if she is going to need some sort of similar Orphic intervention, or can we expect her to recover with my more usual means?
Yeah.
Herbal medicine,
Yeah. There were, around her face and mouth, multiple wounds that are now beginning to heal thanks to Astrid's input, we'll say. Her face had been torn by the release of these things, but has now begun to heal itself. Cheek becomes solid once again. There are still like these blackened veins that are around her eyes, or like the trauma of the blood had just been forced out. You can tell there's definitely
like
going to
blood vessels.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some bruising involved.
We can get her to the temple. They can help her there.
Well, and what with that knowledge, yes, I don't think that I have the right herbs, but I think the Gavadanios has done the most important part. If I could get my hands on some rose, we could maybe help her to recover faster.
Okay.
Davos, could you help carry her to the city?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Hope their fate was not done with her. I mean that.
There's a moment where Xanthus says something in Hobgoblin to Davos as he leans down to pick her up. And he replies with something sharp and angry. Xanthus takes a step back. Doesn't say anything, but keeps his hand clutched to his sword. As Davos helps pick her up. Amadeo comes over to Laertes. Are you sure this is a good idea, bringing her into the city?
Aaron,
Yes.
earlier in Namea, I could not sense anything on her when I did the ping.
Correct.
Do I have a sense of why now that this has happened? Did any pieces come together?
Not particularly.
Okay.
You don't personally know of any reason why you shouldn't have been able to detect something like that in her.
Unless it is still changing and I'm not getting any kind of patch update. Like I clued into version 104. This is now on 106.
Correct.
That kind of thing. That's what I'm suspecting. I honestly don't know. I hesitated to bring her with us. I saw what she looked like down in the well. But I couldn't sense anything wrong with her.
I'm assuming you guys are talking and walking again.
Yeah.
We're gonna circle a lot given the
yeah.
circumstances.
You see Mog has taken their great axe out and is kind of like looking ready to swing at anything that emerges from the shadows. Mikos has two really wicked looking curved daggers out as well that he just like everyone has either weapons out or weapons like in hand ready to unsheath in a moment's notice as you continue your way in.
How far away did they get from us? Are they like running her along, or are they just right in front of us? The Spartan boys and
Davos,
Callisto?
I mean, they're walking with you guys, so they keep
Okay.
pace with whatever.
So they're
pace
just okay.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, because they're still using the lights of the torches that you guys are carrying, so you travel together as a group.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, we're gonna say Themista before I continue, because I have something else gonna continue with Laertes.
Oh, okay. If you guys want to do your thing, I'll
No, it's
speak
fine.
after.
What were you gonna say?
Um, I have to believe. I saw her in a vision, needing rescue. That wouldn't have been shown to me if it was not something that we were supposed to do. I know visions can be misleading, but I sensed someone in need, not doom afterwards.
Believe it. I believe it as well. There's more to this girl than just being a hive for these creatures inside of her.
Were you gonna say something else besides that, Astrid?
Um, she had wanted to pick up the pieces of pot, broken pot pieces
Mm-hmm.
that if Kelly still was holding them when she turned, or if she had them with her.
Yes. Okay. Laertes, what were we gonna say?
I don't know if we can do this while we're sorkening, but I'm because Miso had said this out loud to all of us, or in a whisper, or this
Out
belief
loud.
out loud. Okay. And while I may not share her basis of religiosity, I at least believe in her own belief.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think back to our time in Sparta and that thing I tried to do when there was so much less to work with. And I want to see if I can dial into this person again. And if there is something that isn't supposed to be there,
That
warp
would
it out.
that would probably be something that you would have to focus on and wouldn't be able to do while walking.
Okay. Can we take 2 minutes and let me focus in on something?
If you're doing that, then maybe I can help.
How far are we away from the city gates at this point?
15-minute walk.
Okay. Let's do this before we get into the city.
Astrid will cast Detect Poison and Disease, and that'll allow for anything that could be, the Balduran whatever to a parasitic creature that's living inside or poison. I'll be able to detect that. Maybe you can focus on that and pull that out.
Hmm.
Go ahead and make a
I was
Arcana.
gonna cast something before I do that. Real quick, if
I
you don't
was
mind.
just for Astrid
Oh, okay. Sorry.
for that for this particular thing. We'll say medicine is fine.
Okay. 16.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And then go ahead. What were you gonna say, Laertes?
I was going to recast Fortune's Favor. I'm gonna have to do it at 3rd level. Who would I be giving it to as well? Who wants a point of luck for a little bit in this moment?
Callisto, maybe?
Yeah, that might be good. All right. If we're gonna take some time to do this, that he's going to try and repeat the exercise he attempted back in Sparta.
There is. Go ahead and roll a Arcana check for me.
Okay, I'm doing this with disadvantage. This is going to be fantabulous.
Oh, look, you'll be a regular rolling person at that point with disadvantage.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I have super advantage. So here's the thing. Chrono Shift, I can re-roll the lowest one, which still comes out to a 27. Do I still have Bless on, by the way?
How long does
Probably not. It only lasts for a minute.
Oh,
Oh,
never
yeah.
mind.
So go ahead and roll your. What is your Arcana?
Sorry, that not 27. That would have come out to 23.
3. Okay. There is a difference
Mm-hmm.
between when you sensed it within Nagoosh and this. For what you sensed with Nagoosh was pure plague, pure Bolduran creature. This is a person. And you sense and you run your hand. It's almost in that, like, you almost imagine it, and forgive my nerddom, but in that Star Trek, like, tricorder kind of like scan all the way from head to toe kind of thing. You step
You're
it
talking
without.
to a Trekkie. What are you talking
I
about?
know, but breaking immersion, so to speak. But it's more of the taking a hand and just kind of running it just at like an inch from head to toe over toe, like just kind of running your hand along the space between her hand and your in the body, just kind of like you can almost, for those watching, there's almost like this like warping of almost a mirage like warp field around his hand as he brings it over and scans from the top all the way down and then back up again, trying to find some sort of trace of something. And it isn't until your second passing, we'll say, when you are bringing your hand back up over her belly, that you feel something below the surface, deep within her. It may not be plague itself, but it's almost like the remnant of where it had sat within. And it's... Make an intelligence... Roll me an intelligence saving throw, but with advantage. So I guess a regular...
Oh, if it's a saving throw, it's still with advantage because it's a throw, not a ability check.
I heard. Yeah, because you hadn't got that far down yet.
Yeah, it's only the one. It's a 21. I was gonna say, is this gonna be the honey Whataburger biscuit that we gave her earlier? Or...
No.
Because I could see that being evil.
Shut up, you haven't had one. Yeah, you don't know. But this is a different sensation. This feeds into your earlier theory about it is changing, it is evolving. It is not pure...
It's not static.
Plague. This feels new somehow. It feels altered, changed somewhat. And it's not growing. So you know it's not like it's poisoning her from the inside out. It's just the residue of something that was there. But it feels different because this doesn't feel like something you would have noticed earlier. Now that you are scanning and looking for it, you sense that similarities and were able to latch onto it, but it is not the same. which is troubling. For you are only able to sense it by close examination.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if I can... That'll be a future experiment. But for right now, I can at least key into this version of it here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it inert? Is it alive? Is it...
Like I said, it's just like residue. It's almost like it would be the equivalent of the slime that was around the casing of whatever was in her that had then emerged. So it's not really even, like I said, it's not moving. It's not doing anything. It's
not even breaking down. It's
just in there.
Oh. Actually, that is a question. Because is it technically an object?
I wouldn't classify it as such. It's not enough of it to be an object.
No, what I mean is, it's not alive, therefore it's an object.
Oh.
In D&D mechanic terms, it's one or the other,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I guess, kind of, yeah.
Snail slime versus snail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm more worried that this is doing harm to her by simply sitting there. Without getting into horror stories, that's the kind of thing you find on ER reports.
That would be nothing that you would be able to determine in a couple of minutes. This would be something that you would be able to determine. It'd take a lot longer.
Yeah. I would think that just it not being there would be a good thing. Would that be a fair enough assumption?
Potentially.
So.
Is she even vaguely conscious, or is she just
not at all? Just
okay.
She's barely breathing. Unstable condition would be my way of describing it. So it's hard to say how she teeters on a very thin scale of you don't know what if you do something. How that's going to react to her.
Fair. I'm going to be kneeling down with her because I'm assuming she's on the ground. I'm gonna hold her hand. I'm going to look to Themisto and Astrid. I'm going to try something, but I might need both of you to help in the aftermath. I don't know if this is going to work. But I don't think we should bring her into the city until we do this.
She is weak.
I know.
With my spell detecting poison or disease, would I have seen something similar to what Laertes had seen, where it's after, like, do I detect
this is a strange combination, as it is neither a poison per se. It borders between disease and a virus. It almost is a parasite more so than a disease or a poison, if that makes sense.
That's included.
Okay.
Just to make sure.
Then you will sense that there is something in there, but it's not poison. Yeah,
like what you had said earlier.
So, out of character, am I free to do this, or... Oh, that's describes the thing.
Yeah, if we're about to do field surgery, then Themisto is going to once again draw her focus. And there Um, with Callisto lying on the ground, Laertes, I imagine the party all kneeling around her. Themista will lift her sword, bow her head, and speak. Valo, Gaia. These trials we face grow. And there is an easy way to ensure the safety of Corinthos, but I cannot let us take that path. I saw Callisto in my mind. I need to protect her with the powers of the earth around us. The light of the sun, please. And you see, if you pay attention, what's the ground like us, around like us right now? Like, is there grass? Is it gravel? Like,
I mean, it depends, I guess, if you're standing in the middle of the road or off to the side on the grass.
I imagine we would have got off to the side a little.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like grasses and
Yeah.
weeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, it's maybe a little bit hard to see because it's dark, or actually perhaps a little bit easier. But these grasses and dandelions and whatever else, they almost get like a static to them. It's like they're kind of standing up and like attracted to the parts of the people around them that are closest to them. So for Callisto, it would be like they're all like leaning in towards her.
her.
You're seeing like little tiny like little green gold sparks kind of coming off and like tingling around her and everybody else. As Themisto uses a new power and casts Aura of Life. And so an aura radiates from her in a 30-foot emanation for the duration. While in the aura, you and your allies have resistance to necrotic damage. Your hit point maximums can't be reduced. But most importantly, if an ally with 0 hit points starts its turn in the aura, that ally regains 1 hit point. So if we are to accidentally kill her in this process, it should bring her back to 1 health, at which point the Capitanios or Phoebe or someone should be able to heal her. So I'm gonna keep concentrating on that.
I like how you did the mystical version of player.
Yes, precisely. That is Themister's job in this particular operation.
That's pretty cool.
I love you.
Gotta love emanations. That's so awesome sounding. All right. Go ahead.
I was going to cast something very similar, but mine is called Aura of Vitality. And it does essentially it's something similar to yours, Themisto. Mine just gives 2d6 hit points to a creature every turn for a minute while we're doing this. So Astrid's wanting to stick her spear into the dirt, and the green energy will emanate outward from it. And then the plants that are around us are like an Artemis kind of spell casting. She wants their life force to start to make its way towards Callisto and be healing her, kind of like a heartbeat or a thum of the plants every round. That energy from the surrounding plants are like reviving her in that way.
Nice.
So altogether, this looks really cool with our combined Gaian Artemis spellcasting.
Nice.
Okay.
This energy that radiates around you guys and creating this cocoon of life and light. Laertes, what are you doing?
I think the easiest thing to do, and because it's something I've been theorizing how to do basically since the moment he met Hecate proper, the moment he started seeing what she could do. But thinking about how to create fail-safes within it so that unintentional awful doesn't happen. Building into the spell that this only takes 2 passengers and everything else is left behind. Holding her hand, he's going to lean down to her almost forehead to forehead. We're going to take care of you. We're going to do everything we can. And it's not runic in the way that Hecate does, but in a similar way there is this brief flicker of a bend in reality of a gate around them, the pair of them. But instead of them falling through, it simply rises up as 2 parts of the same universe bend and touch towards each other, but only from one perspective. He doesn't go far, only about 5 feet, staying within that twinned aura in everyone's sight so that no one is left confused. Still holding her hand, almost as if he was just transposed very quickly, seamlessly, from one space to another, as if they never even left the ground. Hoping that he left behind what was undesired.
So in layman's terms, what are you doing?
Dimension door.
Oh. Interesting.
Because there's no roll. It only takes the 2 living people, and anything that is living, that isn't part of what I want to come along with us, is left behind. And if it's an object, it kind of... I can just pick and choose, I believe. But that's a DM fiat kind of thing, so...
You move over that split hair of a... There is a shift in the air around you guys that causes everybody to look up because of the displacement of beings from one place to another. And you open your eyes, Laertes. And we'll see what happens when you come back from break.
Music. That was great.
I can take care of it if it worked.
All right. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Doop doop. All right. You look at the space where you had been and the space where you are at now. And after having consulted the gods / rereading everything again, because it does say it needs to be a willing creature, she's unconscious. She's has no idea what's happening. But I'm still gonna have you like move with her for all intents and purposes at the moment.
Well, that was part of why I was leaning down with trying to console and cajole her. It's like, we're going to help you. Not just, I'm doing a thing.
Yeah, but she's still not mentally even aware of what's around right now. As she has been brought back from the very brink of death. There's no visible changes. And you sense your hand over the spot once again. Whatever it is still there. Diminished. But this is a part of her. And it would require a little more than this to take care of it. But this is knowledge that only you know. There is no reaction from her.
There's nothing on the ground where we were. Okay. He's going to stare at that for a minute. And there's a part of his compartmentalized brain that's going, every time I get some new revelation to try something, it just doesn't work. But he's going to swallow that, put it aside, and deal with the problem at hand. It's not gone. He says out loud.
We're not just going to leave her here.
This darkness that's inside of her. It is resisting.
It's almost part of her now. Maybe. I don't.
It would take more time to know for sure.
There are no more creatures inside of her. No more insects.
No. There's just a faint remnant. Sorry. This is more for Astrid's knowledge.
I want to take out a piece of pottery that Callisto was holding and try to concentrate on her father or the person that had crafted this as much as I could, knowing that that is her father. And I just want to see if he is out there, whether alive or dead. You know?
Like a compass spinning near a magnet. You can't lock on to whatever. If he is alive, which makes you feel like you know the answer. There is nothing to find.
Wipes her finger across the piece of pottery. before placing it in Callisto's hand and just kind of patting it there and squeezing her hand for a little bit. Then it's up to her to make it out of this or to let go.
Zavos comes over to Themisto. Should we get moving?
Yes, we should move. The Corinthos is not far. I don't know yet what is right. But I cannot leave her here.
Whatever else this is something new. We do need to know more.
Then we camp outside of the city tonight.
We're so close to the city that there's the temple there. They can help us.
Got the strength, and if Phoebe or myself, if we go to the Temple of Apollo, maybe that is what we need.
Let's go.
Davos goes down and scoops up Callisto. And then the lot of you walk the remaining path through the orchard. And you see the gates of one of the walls there here in Corinth. Seeing this small troop approach with your torches, one of the guards at the closed city gates come forward, lifting torch to try and see who's there. Hello?
I'm Phoebe of Corinthos. I belong to the Temple of Apollo. We have someone with us who needs help. We're taking her there to be looked at.
You see them, or the two guards' hands go to hilts. You come
She's
rather
sick,
late.
that is all.
We come from Namea. There has been an attack there.
So we have heard. The guard comes forward. Probably like middle-aged man. He looks over at you. You do look a little familiar. Who are the rest of these people?
My traveling companions.
He sees Davos carrying the girl that's just cradled up against his chest. Patroclus, make sure they make it to the temple. Report if they try and deviate. He goes over to the gate and pounds on the door. From the other side, you hear a bar being moved, a timber being lifted, and the doors part open enough for the lot of you to file through. The city of Corinth is asleep. A few torches still burn, a few braziers lit here and there, a few hearths give dancing light and shadow to this city. Phoebe, there is a lump in your throat as you walk through these streets, familiar streets. It has been some time since you've been here. But you navigate around from one familiar corner and find yourself walking with a quickness. Up steps, through alleyways, towards the familiar temple of Apollo that sits on the side of the hill. The assigned city guard that follows behind you all. At first, while kind of like leading the way a little bit, finds himself outpaced by you and some of the rest. But he sees that you are indeed heading in the direction that you are going and kind of doesn't really bother to follow through with the rest before he kind of trails back and leaves behind. Where am I at? You make it to the door of the temple. It is closed, and the place is quiet.
I'll knock on it.
The mist
First, is it
close
locked?
to Phoebe?
Do I know how to get in if it's still locked?
It is not locked. But I will say that as you open the door, you can hear the shuffling of footsteps. A young man in his late 20s, we'll say. Callistos. Brings a lantern of his own as he comes around the corner wrapped up in his robes that he is clutching over himself. Hello? Who's there?
Phoebe.
Phoebe? Phoebe, what are you doing here?
We've got someone who needs help. She desperately needs help.
Okay. Come with me. And like, as more and more people just keep filing into the temple behind.
I will stop and I'll look at Amadeo. If your crew come in, you cannot take anything. You cannot do anything to this place. It is sacred.
Sure, okay. If you want, we can find somewhere else to stay if it makes you that uncomfortable.
Do I know of like an inn or like a pub that would be more their speed?
I mean, there are places, there's a house of travels that are here that they can stay at. Like, they're not really inns and pubs are things that don't really exist, but there are houses
True.
of hospitality that they could
There is a
probably.
house of travel not too far from here. If you would prefer that. Again, here you must be on your best behavior.
He looks somewhat wounded. Me? Why would I? What do you mean? I'm always on my best
I
behavior.
kind of look over his shoulder at what's his name, Mikos?
Yeah.
I kind of eye Mikos.
Amadeo follows your gaze. You're not going to run away on me, right?
No, I'll be here.
Okay. But you better be here in the morning when we come by.
Where else would an acolyte of Apollo be in the daylight hours?
I don't know. I just want to make
Sounds
sure.
kind of my thing.
I just want to make sure I'm getting paid at the end of this. Still got to make sure you get to Thebes in one piece, you know. Okay, well, have a good night then. Come on, Let's go find a place that has some good wine. I hear Corinthos has good. Like he's talking as he like continues on. The door shuts. How about me? Maal says. Do you wish me to stay out as well?
You can come. You've proven yourself a bit more trustworthy.
You've just not been paying attention.
And perhaps I would like our chronicler to see the home of Phoebe.
She raises an eyebrow. This is where you grew up?
This is where I grew up. But come, we can discuss it more later. I'm gonna turn and follow Callistos.
Callistos leads you to one of the spare rooms. There's not a lot of them here. Most of them are pretty jam-filled with some of the local orphans. But you have one, at least, that is used for as a, what's it called?
Like a guest room.
Yeah, but more for when someone gets sick or is hurt. I'm trying to think of the right word. Infirmary, thank you. Yeah. You take her there and lay her out on the cot. What's she suffering from?
Diabetes, you've studied it. You can be honest with him.
I give her a very questioning glance at that part of it. I go, she has been dealing with some sort of parasite. It seems to have mostly left her, but may have left something behind in its wake.
Parasites usually do. I'll try and find some sort of tonic for her. Eudocia will have to take care of her in the morning, though. She is asleep, and you do not want to wake her. Trust me.
No. Callistos, you're a priest now.
Still studying. But yes. He kind of like opens his mouth like he wants to say or ask something, but doesn't. Thinks better of it and says nothing instead. What were we gonna say, Astrid?
What does Callistos look like?
Callistos is, like I said, he's probably late 20s. He is sandy colored hair, but most of it is like tied back into a makeshift ponytail. Doesn't look like he had it on earlier, but it was everything. Like he just was like trying to fix himself up before rushing to the door. Seems kind of, I hate to say use the words ordinary, but
yeah,
there's nothing that's super striking about his features.
I'll squeeze the Mist's hand and whisper, I used to shoot spitballs at the back of his head.
The mister will give a little, stifled laugh.
I'm afraid that we don't have a lot of space for everyone. The halls are still filled with some of the children. Do you mind, do you have a place to stay for tonight? Are you going to go back home?
Phoebe freezes up for a second. That's not been home for quite some time.
The mister is probably still holding Phoebe's hand from that squeeze.
But you can see there's like questions that are going through his face. Sure. Where's Matthias?
I haven't seen them in quite some time.
But thought that you left together.
From where?
I don't know.
From the city.
Yeah.
Is he not here anymore?
No, I would know. He disappeared about the same time you did. I figured you guys had left somewhere.
No. Paulo took me elsewhere.
I see. Well, we have a room with 4 cots in it. I can squeeze some of you into my room as well. I have some extra space.
I can stay here with Callisto if someone needs to watch her tonight.
I'd like to stay at the infirmary. Watch over her.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Let me get some blankets. And we'll set some things up for everyone. So it's you, 5, Maal, Davos, and Xanthus.
Verities, you should get some rest on a real bed.
You're not wrong.
It's nothing fancy, but it'll be comfortable.
Well, we didn't have much in my first years of college, so this isn't that different.
Just know it gets noisy at sunrise when the children wake up.
Oh, so very much like college.
So you should get some rest while you can.
Wake me if you need me for something. Good night, all.
Good night, Laertes.
I mean, you guys are probably staying in the same room, so.
Yeah, but I imagine he's also going like, good night, and then out.
Oh, like me in Discord.
I'm not
Yeah, but we're
sleepy.
we're skipping ASMR Iskra, and he's just going.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and
Spent all days living off over a hot forge for this nonsense.
Callistos will take you to the room. It's temple quarters. It's not fancy. It's just 4 cots in the room. But he does go to the storeroom and bring out some extra blankets. Astrid, you are going to stay in there with Callisto.
Yeah.
Astrid, we can take turns and get rest.
Sounds good.
You'll wake me when you need to sleep, okay?
Davos will stay with you. Just in case. Xanthus, will you watch the rest?
Callistos,
always
I can
been-
come. Callistos, I can come crash in your room. It'll be like old times. A bunch of us shoved in a room together, irritating the snot out of each other.
You see Callistos looks like he goes down memory lane and immediately regrets it. It's like, oh god, I hope not like old times.
No, I promise. I'm on my best behavior now.
Sure. Okay.
The mister's gonna take your hand, Phoebe, and do you want me?
It's up to you to decide.
She's Corinthos. I will go where you need me to go.
I would like you there.
Mm.
You are at Pythia to be, after all. Might be wise to share that with Callistos as well.
She's gonna give you a hug.
All right.
Baby just kind of melts into you.
But the misto won't let go until she's ready.
All right. So
Even if it's a little awkward for Callistos.
He's half asleep. He's not really paying attention much. He just like he's probably actually too busy shuffling back and forth, getting like blankets and things for everybody to sleep with. Cypress has been really deep in thought. You can see his mind kind of working. Larities, once you get into the room, and we'll say it's like him and Maal and yourself, Xanthus like takes a blanket or whatever, but he puts it and sets it up outside the door just so that he can be within earshot of everybody else if need be.
Sorry, which one is Xanthus?
Xanthus. Mhm.
Yep.
So he's outside the door, but he's laying down in the hallway, basically.
Got it.
Laertes,
Mm.
I don't really know what it was that was happening earlier. But you did not sense it when we were in Namea, did you?
Something is changing. Maybe it was always changing and I just picked a moment in its cycle. And that was never going to be static. Or maybe there's something special about her, I don't know.
What if we get to Thebes and we don't know how to find it?
It's a good question. But I bet if I sleep on it, I'll rework the problem.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to keep you awake.
No. What I mean is, now that I know that there is something so changeable about it, maybe I can rethink about how I've been searching for it, find a more reliable way. It's better that we find this out now rather than later.
Of course. He says that, but you know that his mind is now in like worry mode. And he like sits there fingering the hilt of his sword, just like a worry stone, just kind of like rubbing the leather on it back and forth, just kind of like thinking out as he stares up at the ceiling in the dark ceiling.
You've seen, as he's laying his head back down, you've seen the attention and care we've given to places that are not our home. What do you think we're going to do when we go to yours?
Part of me is not worried about how we will react to my home, but how my home will react to us, to me.
Apologies, I meant the amount of energy, thought, action we put into protecting a place that isn't ours. How they react to us, secondary.
He doesn't say anything. He nods in the darkness, whether you don't see him or not, but he just doesn't say anything.
And it's not that Laertes hasn't been thinking about the fact that they're heading towards a place where he's going to be a second-class citizen at best. And we're already getting shades of that a little bit with Sparta. And while nothing in his life experience has adequately prepared him for what that kind of life is really like, because in many ways he is privileged despite all his frailties, he still didn't have that kind of life. But he has a feeling that after initial contact, it's almost not going to matter anymore. There's so many bigger, worse things to deal with. But still keeping it in mind for how to navigate. As he falls asleep, going through that flow chart.
Yeah. Themisto. And Phoebe. Callisto's room is not necessarily large by any means. It is definitely not big enough for 4 cots, but there is space on the floor for what equates to friends sleepover.
We can make a pallet on the floor.
He awkwardly gets back into his bed. It is easier, more space on the floor than it would be if he offered you his bed, and it's, even though you can see that he's like doesn't know the situation, he's still like he feels awkward not offering one of you and not both of you like a better spot. Do you tell him who you are, Themisto?
I think for tonight, if he noticed Phoebe's little brief "you're going to be Pythia" comment,
He wouldn't have.
then I would say something, but otherwise I won't. He's tired, he's being hospitable. Also, in terms of like, tell him who I am in terms of relationship with Phoebe, that's for Phoebe to decide.
Well, I meant more along the lines of being Pythia or not. Also,
I figured I'd give both answers.
Also, you are Gorgon, so I didn't know. I figured you had hood up as you went through the city, and you approached or whatnot. I didn't know if at what point you would have lowered that, or if you kept it in the like, I'm a Greek little old lady style. You know, less like hooded, mysterious, more like just kept it close.
So that's actually a pretty good point. He is going to have to know that, just because I think it's impractical to try to keep the snakes covered while I'm asleep.
Sure.
So I will go ahead and say, Callistos, before we go to sleep, I don't mean to shock you. And I'll already be maybe sitting in the bed space on the floor where Phoebe and I are gonna sleep. But I don't know how much you know about the other temples. If you have heard of some of the people in Delphi, but
you see his eyes widen a considerable bit. No, I mean, yes. Yes, yeah, well, I mean, there's always rumors and people talk about things, but he swallows nervously.
You'll be fine, Callistos. Go to sleep.
Sure.
We'll talk more in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you for your help, by the way.
I didn't really do anything, but
Nothing us in, helping us find a place to stay is a lot.
yes, well, you're still family here.
And you're helping us to give that girl a chance.
How is it they call it, pursing your lips when they were just kind of like flat smile, just like, yeah. He turns out the lantern, puts a little cap on the candle.
And in the darkness, Phoebe will pull Themisto close on their little pallet.
Themisto will stay there holding her. Brushing her fingers through her hair. We're going to make sure she's okay.
I can help you.
Astrid, until you start to doze, there is nothing that seems to change with Callisto. Her breathing is so slight, her heart barely beating. Davos comes up, and though you guys have, like, blanket bedroll material to lay out, I'm assuming that you both kind of are just sitting up against the wall, sitting on the blankets as you stare at the cot in the low light of this oil lamp.
No.
You do realize that we might have to kill her, right?
That's all I'm thinking about. And I promised her that fate had more to do with her. I told her that she had the life to continue to live. And here she is, like some kind of trick.
How are you to know? How are any of us to know?
The condition gives us clues as to the creature that is affecting these chimeras. The insects that came out of her were also a jumble of different insects. This thing adapts to its environment. Who knows what other adaptations it can take on. And if hiding from someone like Laertes, who has been able to seek this kind of thing out, you're right. I don't know. I don't know what we're up against. None of us got attacked by the creatures that came out of her. Laertes was surrounded, but he seems fine. He's gonna get up.
That is not what Xanthus thinks.
What?
Xanthus is afraid that Laertes has been compromised.
Then it's better that we find this creature and slay it before we have more of this on our hands. We'll keep an eye on Laertes. But I think he would know
Would
what would
he?
lurk inside him. He's familiar with pain.
So what is one more discomfort? If you could not sense it in her before, what would make you think that he would be able to sense it within him if he is not looking for it?
If it comes to that, then we do the same thing we did to her. We pray that the gods have mercy. And she stands over Callisto. Are you familiar with the Fae?
I know of them, yes.
They've been around a lot longer than we have. Perhaps one of them knows how to deal with a situation like this.
I don't think anybody knows. We may not say much, but we see a lot. And part of me thinks that perhaps even the gods are not as all-knowing as we give them the credit that they are.
That's been made apparent.
They were surprised by Laertes' recklessness in his actions in Sparta. They question us at every turn, checking in to see who these new Orphics are. Poseidon. Those that do not hide away and cower in Olympus. Even Ares, No, it doesn't matter. I'll wait outside the door. But do not hesitate. If something was to happen, he just gets up from the ground and goes out the door. Over the course... Okay.
Oh. Astrid's going to kneel beside Callisto. And she'll cast her last third level spell slot for Spare the Dying. Callisto's body is just covered in a sheen of green light, just barely visible to the eye.
We'll say one way or another, all of you get a long rest tonight. During the sleeps, the mist of your mind and dreams are turmoil and tumultuous. This space, being back in the temple of Apollo, something about these spaces seems to, quote unquote, awaken your third eye. every time you've been in the Temple of Apollo, you have always felt perturbed in a way. Your mind is always more active in these spaces, these holy places. It's as if, however they are built, whatever their construction, maybe it's just the fact that they are temples, makes your mind feel at ease, I guess, in such a way that it kind of allows you to relax, right? Allows your guard to lower just a little bit more, for you feel safest in temples like this, especially those built for Apollo. You feel open, and with it, the dreams are vivid and roiling images of things that places, people that you have never seen before. For above the table talk to the Misto, in a sense, it's like being in a new place with new minds around you, even if it is just a different city. It's not like you're getting the like a telepathic overwash of everybody else's dreams, but it's almost in that sense of like there are new entities around you, so it's like a different sort of static, sort of, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So everything is just kind of like randomized faces, voices, and visuals that kind of blend into your own dreams. So you have like new characters and recurring dreams that you may or may not have, right? But it's like, I've never seen this face before. Why is it in my dream, kind of thing? So in that sense, it's just like wild and vivid. And maybe a little bit of the anxiousness that comes from Phoebe of being in a oh, it's not even full anxious though. There's the familiarity of being within the temple and the safe space that it creates. But there's also the little bit of anxiety that is in there as well. And you wake rested, but also sensing that below the surface feeling that comes from Phoebe.
You know, that feeling like after you go for a jog or do something physical and you've got like a little bit of like an energetic sort of like, okay, yeah, here I've got like a little bit of a pump, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like when she wakes up, there's that rested feeling, but also that sort of like there's a weird little snap to it on like that kind of low level because of the influence of this presence of these others and Phoebe's emotions.
Did Astrid wake me up in the middle of the night for a watch?
Yeah.
Maybe only because I would say that Davos would have offered before he would have seen you go wake her up, would have offered to take the place instead. So that is up to you.
I will say, if after your conversation with Davos, if this changes anything about letting Phoebe be the one to watch, there was this anxious earnestness coming from Phoebe towards Callisto.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think it'd be better to have the two people watching over just one. So yeah, I'll go and wake up Phoebe.
Okay. So then yes. Put the
Phoebe
same.
Only because she would want the same.
She'll give the mister a little kiss and tell her she's going on watch. So in that case, Callistos does not wake up seeing Themisto and Phoebe holding each other.
This is not the right song.
Instead, he sees Astrid.
Uh-oh.
Curled up on the floor. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do this one over here. There we go. That's better. That's less scary sounding. Okay. Oh well, kind of scary sounding. Anyway, morning comes to the temple as all of you begin to awaken. Temples of Apollo in our universe, quote unquote, are built in such a way that they catch the morning rays of the sun and they spread it through either reflective surface of either
I hope
metal.
you're all morning, people.
Of either metal or a coat of like bronzish, goldish material placed over bricks in such a way that it doesn't like necessarily heat up like an oven, because that also sounds like that's what would happen in that case, but enough to where it is definitely once the sun rises, there is no escaping its brightness at any point in the temple.
Phoebe will stand up and stretch and go stand in the light.
What an alarm for like the orphans. Like subtle wake up that's eventually like, it's time.
Yeah, it's always
they've
time.
got sunrise tours.
By the time that you guys have awoken, we'll say that for sure. Actually, so Astrid, are you? There is that other bed that is in the room with the 4. Do you go stay there, or are you sleeping just next to Themisto on the floor mat?
If there's an extra bed, then
I mean, there's the one empty because it was just Ma'al, Laertes, and Cypress in the room with 4 beds. So,
okay, I got you. Okay, then
if you
no,
sleep
yeah, she would
in
have
the
gone.
room with the Apollo priest and priestess, you're waking up early.
Yeah, she knows that. She knows
yeah,
that.
I
She's
mean,
gonna go sleep with Mom.
Never again.
Blankets over the face completely like, no.
Abracadadoodle don't.
She remembers. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, Themisto, when you awaken for the morning, you find you're the only one in the room.
Wow. Okay. Themisto has expressed this before, but she has this faith in things that she's gonna go ahead and do her morning prayer in a temple of Apollo, and it's been some time since she's done that. Go through that ritual before she gets up and moves on to find where Callistos and Phoebe have gone.
Before that, Callistos brings in the temple housekeeper, Eudocia. I don't know why I pronounce the X like a Chinese X. Eudoxia. I'm not really sure.
Look, man, I googled ancient Greek names and it sounded fun.
Yeah.
Spell that out.
Eudoxia?
Eudoxia.
I'll put it in chat.
Yeah.
EUD. What?
Eudoxia.
That feels
Eudoxia.
right.
Yeah, I just keep every time I see X like that, I think of
CK.
the Mandarin xie. So I see xia instead of Eudocia. But yeah. Yudo. She has already been alerted because she is usually out before the sunrise anyway. but Callistos brings her in. And Phoebe, you get that sense that as you were starting to kind of drift a little bit, knowing that it is getting quote unquote late in your watch before the sun begins to rise, someone knocks on the door, and Callistos and Eudocia come in.
I'm gonna stand up and throw my arms around Eudoxia.
Eudocia kind of like taken aback, but not also. Just kind of like surprised, like, oh. Puts her arms around you and warmly greets you as well. What is this stranger you have brought to our doorstep, Phoebe? Another wounded creature for us to tend to.
It was the only survivor we could find from Namea.
Do you know what happened?
Chimeras.
Chimeras? Chimeras took out the entire city?
Several of them. There has been so much darkness sweeping across the land.
We have heard stories, but nothing like this. The city is on extra alert because of it. We had some merchants that were traveling to Namea in the morning that returned before nightfall. Word spreads fast. She goes over to the girl and like puts a hand on her forehead, and she had brought with her a small tray of goodies, and by this point we'll say is whenever Themisto comes in, as she's already starting to tend to Callisto's condition. Eudoxia turns around and looks at Themisto, who enters.
This is Themisto. She is an aspirant for Pythia.
Oh.
Mr. will bow her head.
You see, it's almost like in unison, both Callistos and Eudocia both go, oh, at the same time. They've spent a lot of time together.
Themisto, this is Eudoxia. She is the housekeeper here.
Eudoxia, it is nice to meet you.
She bows. And already know when Cypress meets her, probably going to be suspicious. It is an old lady. And you kind of smirk to yourself at the thought of like, here we go again. But she's older human woman, probably either late 60s, early 70s, perhaps. Kind of portly adjacent. She just looks like a round, jolly woman. But also has
talked...
lots. No, but also has like lots of the stress wrinkles. Especially the ones in the forehead of just like those that kind of are common of those who have to care for many, many, many mouths over the years. Just like constant mother/grandmother figure. So happy smile lines, frown lines, angry lines. There's just a lot of lines.
Absolutely. Has Phoebe spoken about Eudoxia's role in her life?
I don't think so, because for a long time Phoebe didn't think she'd ever be coming back here.
Okay.
And then the closer we got, the more bad things kept happening. So now that you were meeting them, it's kind of like, oh crap, I should have told her so many things.
That's okay.
And maybe she meant to last night, but she fell asleep quickly being back in this safe place.
Absolutely. Phoebe, how is our new girl faring?
She's still with us.
badly.
Whatever darkness touched Namea, she was not spared from it.
Was it a disease?
She was sick on the road yesterday. And all of a sudden, these large insects were spewing out of her mouth. We had to fight them off, and it nearly stole the life from her. I think there might be some kind of remnant left.
You see her eyes are just kind of like, what the hell have you brought in here kind of thing. She looks at her. But why bring her here with the children?
It's someone who could help her. Could not leave her outside the city.
What? Oh, you're still giving me a headache after all these years still. I don't even know where to begin. I will have to go get Nick.
One of the companions I came with has studied her closer than I have. You know I could never heal.
I will go to see what Nictino says. She gets up and puts a hand on your shoulder. I do not mean disrespectfully. You did the best. You did what you thought was best. You brought her to a safe place. But if she has been cursed, you also have brought her in with the children that were your brothers and sisters.
I can help with the children today if I need to. Let me help in that way while you take care of her.
I cannot do anything for her.
The Misto is a great healer. As is my companion Astrid that I came with, and like I said later, Tisu I also traveled with, has studied her. Studied whatever is inside of her.
Oh God, so you keep saying things and it just makes it worse. I'm going to speak to Nictinos. Stay here. You see, she leaves the door open and she like rushes out to go get the high priest. And Callistos is now looking at her like, I'm
sorry, Callistos. I didn't know what else to do.
You did what you thought you should. It's fine. Nictinos would know what to do. I will, perhaps I shall take the children out of the temple.
Again, let me know if you need help with them today.
It's fine.
I'm not a healer. I don't know how much of use I could be here.
You have not been around these children long enough for them to know or listen to you. It'll be fine.
One of the worst of them. I think I could handle it.
You would be surprised.
It sounds like a challenge.
We'll see what happens around dinner time. I will go take them on a journey. We'll go for a walk to the gardens or something.
Don't be weird, okay? And I want to take out however many gold pieces will get the orphans a treat.
Here, go to Baskin Robbins, get yourself a snow cone. Sure. Well, just like a gold will probably provide a decent amount of somethings. Some sweet rolls. Yeah. He leaves. We'll say it's not too much longer before Nictinos comes in.
Is he gonna get them some honey butter peanut bread?
Honey butter pita bread. That's what he's gonna get.
While they've gone to get the high priest, if any of the Spartan boys are still hanging around, could I ask them to wake up Laertes and Astrid specifically?
Davos would have been outside the door. Yeah. Yeah, they can go wake them up. Wake up, Fishy! Why are you sleeping? Bangs on Laertes' face.
His face. So he's just dead then.
I can say that's all his hit points.
No, but he does wake you.
Why is it morning already?
Because the sun rises every day, Laertes. You're a man of sciences. He uses.
Don't do orbital mechanics this early. I assume everyone's up already.
He looks over. Even Maul, I think, unless she is plain dead.
Oh, Malt does not sleep.
Maul just like her. The eyes that were closed now open, and they do that T-Rex thing where it like refocuses and the slits get all tiny, and you're just like, oh.
Careful, her aggression is based on motion.
Long story short, you guys get over there to the other room.
Laird is going to be a little slower than usual. Just he's at a night of exhaustion. He's already a little busted. He's taking his sweet time getting there.
You get there just in time for Nictinos to arrive. This elderly grandpa of a man shuffles in.
Put the spelling in chat for those who want it.
Comes in and looks over the girl. You said that there were insects that flew from her.
Yes. Laertes saw something that remained, but could not remove it himself.
What do you mean, saw something that remained? Are there markings on her?
I'm going to give Phoebe a look of I don't know how to start explaining when we're supposed to be keeping a low profile. Just like he's being faced with this early after he's basically like psychically, emotionally hungover.
Yeah.
And for Phoebe, there's this earnestness like, oh, of course we can tell them everything.
There was something wrong with the chimera. Some sort of disease or parasite.
Or chimera. Oh, Namea. I heard that there had been something that had befallen the town, but I did not realize that it was chimera.
She was the only survivor we found.
But whatever was affecting the chimera, some of it has gotten inside of her.
She has been cursed then.
We have to remove this curse.
I can try, but I only know the rights given to me by Apollo. I cannot get in.
May his light burn it out then.
You say this, but sometimes the light burns everything away. I can start with some prayers. I will offer a sacrifice. That is the best that I can do. The rest will be in the hands of Apollo.
I will look to Tamisto and then back at him. We can help you focus this. We'll keep her, Callisto, from being consumed by this fire.
He looks puzzled at you. It's like, no offense. But who are you? Are you a priestess?
A priestess of yes, I'm a priestess.
May I ask of where? I have not seen the priestess's garb look like this before.
Well, I carry a bow, and I can speak to animals. So you can guess what I am a priestess of.
Ah. I see. And I am told you are Pythia, an aspirant to be a Pythia. He looks over at the mister.
Aye. That is correct. Perhaps having a priestess of both of the twins in the same place could be a good thing to help us, huh? Our Priestess Astrid is very capable. What would you like me to describe, chat?
Yeah, fishy. What is
You've
the men?
used a lot of points, so I want to make sure that I get it right.
He, in the meantime, looks over at Laertes and raises an eyebrow. If I had to guess, I would say that you are not a practicer.
Mm. Not of your particular meaning, no. More of a practical application of something else.
It's a curious bunch to be traveling with the Pythia aspirant. I'm sorry. Phoebe, it is good to see you again. Though I am surprised to see you here. We figured that you had left Corinthos for good.
Apollo brought my steps back.
I will and go and get a few things for the prayer. As I said, I am not a doctor. But I will offer what prayers I can to Apollo to help guide her and protect her. And do not know how to defeat or what even the meaning of locusts or swarms of anything flying from someone's mouth is not something that I am trained for.
May we see her?
He gestures to the girl that's right there in the room.
Sorry, I didn't realize we were in the infirmary.
Yeah,
I thought we were just in the hallway.
No, you're good.
My fault.
I will be back. He shuffles out of the room.
Laertes is gonna walk over and he's going to try and make sense of that equation, which is always his default, of what did he sense before? What is different about it? What is the commonality, the lowest common denominator between this version of Baldura and any other he's seen? What is the simplest, easiest, basic version of it that he can boil it down to refocus how he senses it? And he is just trying to do both the real math and the air math as he's trying to think of his next several steps of how to help this person.
Are you okay? So explain to me as you would a child. What is it you're trying to do?
Explain like I'm 5. Okay. The Belduran sense that you gave me as an ability. He's trying to find a way to go, okay, it works with this version, it doesn't work with this version. What's different? Did
What's
I focus
different?
on the wrong thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a simple commonality that I need to be focusing on that it will apply to all versions?
Right.
It's like the idea of, well, tracking a recent pandemic, that there is a baseline version that applies
Right.
to all strain.
Right. The so kind of recasting it again, right?
Would I have to recast it while I'm still figuring out how to make it work?
I figured that that's what you had used before.
Okay. Because
Do you only get once a day?
I only get it once a day.
Oh. Whoops. Okay, well we'll just say now you get it 2 times a day. You did just level up, so whatever.
It's the crystal. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Rats.
Because I honestly earlier when you were doing the sense thing, that's kind of what I was basing that off of.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
We had a miscommunication. Got it.
No, you're good. So
I can cast that now if that would.
yeah.
Okay. So I guess
You
it's
sense it now,
okay.
and you didn't sense it before.
Mm-hmm.
Common sense would indicate whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been there, it had been dormant before, and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until it was active a certain time later.
Because you had asked me the last session, do you detect it if it's dead or alive? And I was under the impression it's dead or like remnant.
Right.
But not.
But this was more inert than kind of gestating, if you will.
Yeah, it's tardigrade in its what do they call it? Never mind, move on.
But you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
the way you sense it now, it's not growing. It hasn't changed anything. There's still like the faintest of senses. And gratefully, within a half-mile radius, you don't sense anything else.
Well, that's one less headache.
So that is good. But now you can just sense that because of the closeness of it, you can sense that there is something there that is off. Perhaps it is because you know what to look for now. But it is so small that if you were not within 5 feet, you probably would not have this probably would even have registered because it is so slight. But now that you're so
And I'm looking
honed
right at it.
Right. But now that you're so honed in on it, you surmise that she is not at risk if nothing has changed within the last 8 hours. It doesn't seem like it's growing anymore. As whatever is in there seems to be more a part of her that just has residue on it versus anything that has changed per se.
Okay. Go ahead.
The Misto, we're gonna say.
Well, this is a bit more involved, so if Laertes has more to do, he should probably complete that thought before I proceed.
I think he's focused.
Above,
I'm waiting to see because it was also Astrid the one to do something, so I want to
above
speak.
table, I'm going to be doing an augury,
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
which I haven't used in a while, to just kind of determine if we need to continue a course of treatment or if we are okay to move on,
Hmm.
essentially.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to wait for that before I do my next thing.
Astrid,
Okay.
what were we gonna say, Astrid?
Astrid wants to do just a general medicine check on her to see if her color has improved, her like her gauntness.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Go ahead and do roll medicine check.
21.
21. Nice. Her condition has stayed the same. Her heartbeat is faint. Her breathing is shallow. Color to the cheeks has returned from whenever you breathed life back into her desiccated body. It's
Yeah.
not any worse. It's not any better than whenever you had given her that. It's almost like reverse prunification. She had literally been dried up from all life, and then you had, with that injection of life, fleshed her out again, so to speak. So that has stayed the same. She has not changed otherwise at the moment. For all intents and purposes, you could say that she's kind of in a coma right now.
Yeah.
She's just in that
Just
like
ready to die.
stable, yeah, that she's in that stable
Kinda.
stableness to her. Themista, go for it. What were we gonna say?
Okay. Themisto is going to adopt a stance that the party has not seen for a while, where she will kneel on both knees on the floor, and she'll take out her sword, and she will grasp it with, the hilt here,
Mm-hmm.
and then angle it towards her, like so,
Mm-hmm.
with the chain hanging down. And with her eyes looking mostly forward, but so that Kate, she can still kind of have an angle on the chain. She will say, and holding the flat of the blade too, or like the sharp ends are kind of touching her fingers. She'll say, "Hey, Apollo, we bring this girl Callisto to your home. She was once in danger, or perhaps a danger to others. Here in Corinthos, if we were to continue with what else that must be done beyond these walls, to entreat Callisto to Eudoxia Nitios, would we place Corinthos or Callisto in jeopardy?"
Yeah.
And she's going to wait for a response with either the chain swinging horizontal in front of her for no, you won't place her in danger, and swinging back and forth for like strike, plunge the sword for yes, you would, and spin around in a circle for indeterminate. With the question being both for the safety of Corinthos and for that being the safety of Callisto. So I've kind of maybe made it a chance at being hard to get a definite answer, because if it's like both, then, but that feels like the best way to go about it. And
Yeah.
maybe since I was feeling a bit more connected to this
Mhm.
place, I can get something. So that's what I'm trying. Casting augury.
Whew. The sensor begins to spin,
Mhm.
but every third spin, it spins side to side away from you, like back and forth. It'll do that like once and then start to spin again.
Interesting.
Then back, forth, spin. It's like a strange. It's like a not really, but there's a chance that it's undetermined.
There is a strangeness to the way the sensor moves. It as if there is a safety for Corinthos and for Callisto, yes, but perhaps there is something more, something I forgot. A far off something. And there is more yet to do, but perhaps we do not yet. It has not yet rolled into us on the tide. This is my interpretation. Perhaps there is something within Corinthos that can provide us more.
Nectinos knocks on the door briefly before he opens it again. He has a small bowl with what looks and smells like a honey mixture with herbs. He takes a small like spoon and then just kind of puts it just below the eyes on either side, and then down on the almost basically above the table. It's like rubbing Vicks, just like a little bit of Vicks is gonna help clear this up. Maybe, I don't know. Um, he looks up at Themisto, sees you kind of just finishing up with your augury, raises both his eyebrows. As I would have expected from an aspirant of the oracular.
Yes.
Did you
Apollo
divine?
Pedaeus, I know, is more martial in our rituals, but there is some ritual or course, something that must be done still with Callisto. But there is no immediate danger to her or to Corinthos.
We have we have our healers here within the city. They have places to put those who have potentially infectious disease. They will be able to keep her safe until we have a definite answer.
Mm. I I suspect that perhaps if she wakes, what she needs though is love.
And they will
I would
tend
want her to be somewhere like this.
to her if need be. But I also have a duty to protect those who live within these walls as well.
You do not trust what I have seen.
Oh, I trust what you have seen. Otherwise, I would have had her removed from the temple itself. This will not be done immediately. But I gather that you did not come this way for staying close to watch a girl sleep until she wakes.
There are unfinished things here in Corinthos, yes.
Then perhaps distract yourself for the time being. I will offer my prayers and offerings to Apollo in her behalf. And I will also send for the healers so that they might examine her and see if there is something that they can do.
There does your brow furrows.
I think that's my default expression at this point. There is something I would like to try before we do anything else, if possible. Unless anyone disagrees. Sorry, I missed that.
Themisto is just asking Phoebe her opinion.
Nyctenos, is it alright?
I don't know exactly what I am agreeing to.
What do you want to do, Beatrice?
I turned to answer Astrid, but I realized that she wasn't there in that moment, and she only got the story after the fact. So I looked to Phoebe and Themisto, who were both there. And Cypress, if he was on camera at the moment. I want to retry what I did in Sparta. But with more to work with.
Less.
Yeah, depending how you look at it.
Do you think such a thing is necessary?
It worked in Sparta.
It did and it didn't.
As
You're
there's
much more far gone than she is.
as they're saying that, Themisto, you're having flashbacks to the macaroni powdered sparkle with the skeletal figure that was screaming within.
If she is bonded with it somehow, I worry about what it might do.
I'm worried about what we do if we do nothing. Right now it's quiet, almost dormant. Instead of letting it fester, we could stop it here and now.
You can get it out, I can burn it.
I think it'd be closer to... I'm going to intentionally throw a name around in character to impress the priests here. Like when we worked with the children of Asclepius.
That does get his eyebrows go up a little bit.
And that took all of us, and we could see what we were facing.
If I do this right, you'll see it after, and you can do what you need to do it.
Mister
it will
just
be
keeps. Oh, proceed.
Astrid.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you weren't finished with your thought. So you can keep going.
just that I would prefer if we could wake her up to get her opinion on the matter.
Might be able to do that. Not awake, but I might be able to ask her something, even if she's in the state she is. Delve into her mind.
Artemis' connection with the moon, and you speak to her in dreams, maybe.
Perhaps that is where this comes from. But she is out of character. Casting message. She'd like to message the comatose body of Callistia.
Whoa.
Callisto. Sorry.
Callistia is very much not comatose, but you want to talk to Callistia, we can bring her back.
Don't cross the streams.
Callback.
Yeah, that was a first campaign callback there.
She's gonna do that. Reaching out with message. She should be able to respond regardless of, if she wants to or if she's able to. Callisto. I'm one of the people who helped you out of Namea. Are you there? She puts her thumb on her forehead, and greenish like veins spread out from there.
You get no response.
No. She'll send another one. We're going to try to do all we can to help you. Not expecting a response, but she'll lift her finger and there's no one home, or she is too weak to respond back.
All right.
Eudoxia, would you mind getting a pot, some soil, and 2 seeds for me?
Eudoxia was not here, but you can tell that to Nicotinos.
That works, okay.
Yeah. She's the housekeeper. She is tending to other duties here. She's left this in the capable hands of the head priest. But we'll say that for now, because it is late, we'll pick this up next time. But we'll talk about what you were wanting to do, Astrid, with this. Because Astrid has to step away from the game again for a little bit. But we'll be back soon. And we will continue this next Tuesday.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, but it's for good reasons. So, we're here for it.
And it's not for work this time.
Yes, exactly.
It's for revenge. And this time, it's for money.
And we've made it to Phoebe's hometown. I mean, there's weird circumstances. but
Yeah,
we're here.
for real.
Were there ever going to be good circumstances to going to anyone's hometown in a D&D game? It's not going for
I
parties.
can't wait to go to Delphi and meet the Missa's parents,
Mhm.
That's
They're
gonna be great,
adorable.
man.
even if it's an epilogue.
Right.
Alrighty. Well, we will see you guys next time. Stay fey, be brave, and all that jazz. We'll see you in November. Well, no, we'll see you tomorrow for Vampire probably, but otherwise we'll see you in November. Woohoo! All right, we'll see you next time.
Vampires and
Bye.
Halloween.
Yeah, I know, right?